And now it is my great pleasure to introduce a young man, Joey Kemmerling. And Joey shared with me a little while ago, one of the programs we have is a program called Trevor Space. And it's kind of like a Facebook for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, questioning every letter of the alphabet, and allies, 13 to 24, a place where you get to meet lots of other people on our site. And Joey shared that he visited that site for a while because he felt like he had no one to talk to, and being on Trevor Space gave him a place to meet lots of other young people who were just like him. And we had 85,000 on Trevor Space right now, so it's a wonderful resource. And Joey, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Joey is a remarkable young man, and we're going to see a little video that gives you a little more information about him. So enjoy the video and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you all so very much.
For some bullying victims, like 16-year-old Joey Kemmerling, school must be survived.
We don't go to school to get an education. We go to school to make it through the day without being killed or without being to the point where we feel the need to kill ourselves.
Joey's trouble started in middle school when word got out that he was gay.
I hadn't been bullied really at all before I came out, and then when I did come out, it just completely changed. I was bullied every day relentlessly, and it was just, I couldn't grasp why kids suddenly hated me for one thing that I had told them. And it was just really, it was bad. I didn't even want to go to school.
The impact of bullying can take many years to overcome. With the help of Victor Cruz, Joey was able to revisit a difficult place and put the pain of his past experience behind him.
The first time that I've been in a locker room since I came out. It's been a long time. After I came out, the locker room was the last place I wanted to be. It was full of homophobia. I was the fag. You could hear a pin drop every time I walked into that locker room. I avoided that locker room at all costs, and that's why this is the first time I've set foot in a locker room since, and it's a big step.
Joey is encouraging kids to speak up and be heard. Last year, he created a Facebook page called The Equality Project. This is a place where everyone can share stories and lend support to those being bullied.
I really want you to keep up the amazing work. I wish I had the guts to help you without people judging me.
I've been through so much since then. I have a high school diploma, I'm enrolled in college, and I'm seeing my mom this weekend. To think that I could have missed those experiences, it just means so much more to me now. To know that I'm here and to know that I can share this moment, it just makes it that much better.
A few weeks ago, I pulled up to the New York Giants stadium. Getting out of the car, I knew right away that I was heading to a place I hadn't been in years. As I walked through the stadium, I turned a corner and saw a sign for the New York Giants locker room. And in that very moment, I felt like I was in middle school again. When I was 13, I was in 8th grade, which was my second year of middle school. In 7th grade, I was accepted, and I had a lot of friends. Around Christmas time of my 8th grade year, I told my friend I was gay. It was an absolutely liberating experience. I felt whole for the first time. I didn't tell many people after, but each person I told seemed extremely accepting. For the first time in my life, I felt as though I finally knew who I was. It is an absolutely amazing feeling to know, after years of being confused, that I finally knew myself. This feeling didn't last long, though. I was on my way to gym class, and upon entering the locker room, everyone stopped and stared at me. As I walked to my locker, the boy next to me grabbed his clothes and said he didn't want me checking him out. It was absolutely devastating. Within 60 seconds, I went from feeling whole to being completely isolated. In the following weeks, I struggled to use the locker room, and every time I entered, I was greeted with fag and homo. I was shoved and brought to tears. The adults in the school knew what was going on in the locker room, yet none of them answered my cries for help. Without any other place to turn, I went to the principal. He told me that maybe if I acted a little less gay, the kids would leave me alone. I felt completely helpless. I think that the way I truly felt was that I wasn't normal. I didn't feel like I belonged in school, nonetheless the world. I wanted to be anywhere else than school, and most importantly, the locker room became a place that I feared the most. Towards the end of the school year, the school told me that if I sat in the guidance counselor's office all day, that they would pass me and send me to high school. Sitting in that guidance counselor's office, I felt afraid and isolated. I didn't understand why me being gay could not only make me a social pariah, but also lead me to be removed from the rest of the school. Moving into high school, though, things changed. I would have kids come up to me and tell me they heard I was a fag. But I found a place of refuge. I found the theater program, and I was able to make a lot of friends who accepted me. The theater made it very clear that I could be who I was, and the director knew I was gay and embraced me. There was also an English teacher I had freshman year that was extremely accepting. I was in her class, and a kid said that the reading assignment was gay, and the teacher turned around. She told the student that she didn't accept the use of the word gay in a negative way in her classroom, and that it was offensive. She talked briefly about how language can hurt, and even mentioned to the class that she was a resource if anyone ever needed to talk. In taking 5 minutes to make a teachable moment, she changed my life, simply because she decided to make that teachable moment. But then my high school principal told me that I was not to talk to that teacher anymore. The one teacher I trusted and felt safe talking to. This had a disastrous impact on my psyche. Towards the end of 9th grade, I became extremely depressed, and once again, I didn't have much of a support system. Right around winter break of 10th grade, I hit my breaking point. My depression worsened, and I felt as though I didn't belong in a world that didn't accept me for who I am. That night, after nearly attempting to end my life, I went to my mom and cried in her arms. I told her I couldn't do it, and we worked through it. My mom is a superintendent who at the time was working to become a doctor in education. She was working on a dissertation on administrators' response to LGBT bullying. She would tell me years later that it was incredibly hard for her because she watched me go through everything that the statistics in her research showed her, from the time when I came out in 8th grade to that night when I hit my breaking point. I wasn't a statistic, though. I was a boy who had been thrust into complete isolation at age 13. I was a boy who then at 15 was struggling to even get out of bed in the morning because I didn't feel like I belonged. After years of living in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, I realized that I didn't feel comfortable continuing my education in that school district. My mom left everything and moved to New Jersey. Unlike Pennsylvania, New Jersey was a place where I was more accepted for my sexual orientation. I still dealt with some incidents from kids, but the principal was in my corner 110%. He would simply talk to me and help me strategize. He asked me questions and listened when I needed to vent. He never presumed to know what I was going through, but always wanted to help in any way he could. Looking back on my schooling through 4 high schools and 1 middle school, Mr. Korn is the reason I made it through. I still struggle with depression, and I never went to my senior prom, but it was amazing the impact that having adults who supported me had on my life. In June of 2012, I graduated from high school. There were times in those 4.5 years where I didn't know if I would make it. Looking back now, I couldn't imagine what I would have missed out on. I am a global legal studies student at Arcadia University, preparing to embark on a journey that will take me to 2 continents. I have been on dates and struggled to make it through finals. But most importantly, I am accepted. After high school, the bullying I went through went off like a light switch. I still see people stare at me, and adults will sometimes give me a weird look when I'm on a date with another guy. But overall, I am completely accepted by my peers. I know if I hadn't had my mom, I wouldn't be standing in this room. And I also know that LGBT teens all over America do not have supportive parents. In schools, faculty can't change parents, but they can ensure that LGBT teens do not feel alone. Being at this conference, you will have resources to pass along to those parents that are not supportive, and the knowledge to talk them through the process of acceptance. It sounds like something so simple, but it could make all the difference in the world. That quick teachable moment my teacher gave the class back in my 9th grade had such a powerful and long-lasting impact on me. Just simply putting an open space sticker on a door or being a vocal ally for an LGBT teen can make a life-saving difference. I struggled in school, and I hadn't been in a locker room since I was probably 15. Needless to say, as I walked up to the New York Giants locker room, I was afraid. This time, though, I wasn't alone. NFL player Victor Cruz was standing beside me, and he walked me in. Together, we brought closure to a place I was extremely afraid of. Not every child will have Victor Cruz to walk them through their past, but perhaps having each of you as a visible and vocal ally will ensure that one day no child will need to fear a locker room, a visit to the pediatrician, or soccer practice because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. Thank you.